Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to the Winning Drive, the prime time edition. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, pleased to be joined by fellow Lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy himself, C.J. Vogel, and our own coach, former high school football coach at Vernon, Capel, Brownwood, Belton, Rotan, also played college football at Abilene Christian, coached there as well, and was on the staff at the University of Texas for multiple head football coaches. These days, you can catch his work right there. See that? Boom, right there. ShipleyRanches.com. It's our own Coach Bob Shipley. What's going on, Coach? How you feeling?
Thanks for wearing that cap tonight, brother. I'm
doing
good. My head's spinning, man. We got to dive into all this stuff going on the 40 acres.
I agree. We ain't gonna waste no time. I don't wear it a lot, Coach. I try to keep it pristine. I try to keep it nice. I don't want to wear it out. That's why I don't wear it.
Good. Looking good.
It's one of my favorite hats. I only pull it out really with special occasions. All right. So thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. You know how it works. Your questions, your comments, that's our number one priority. So throw it out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line so you can interrupt the show at any time. Coach brought it up. We won't bury the lead. The transfer portal, Lefau hits the transfer portal. So we'll start there. Earlier today, you had the AP All-American teams that were released. A couple of Longhorns that got some love there. One Longhorn did not get some love. So we'll discuss that coming up a little bit on the show as well. And the opt-outs continue for the Longhorns for the upcoming bowl game versus Michigan. Permission to panic yet, says Sad Man. No panic. That's why we're here. We're here to break it down, give you all the different angles. What's up, CB? Thank you all you guys for joining us. So we'll get into that. Before we do, let's thank our lead sponsor for today's program, our friends over at Von Lane. We appreciate them, and you will as well this holiday season. You got to travel around the great state of Texas, in and around the great state of Texas. I'll tell you right now, the best way to do it, our friends over at Von Lane. I've done it myself. I've traveled to Houston on the Von Lane. I've traveled to Dallas and DFW on the Von Lane on business. And every time, folks, it's better than the last time because they continue to outdo themselves, to continue to improve the most luxurious travel experience on the road today. So, folks, if you're traveling for the holidays, I encourage you to reach out to our friends over at Von Lane. They got it all. And trust me, folks, you won't regret it. Our friends over at Third and Longhorn, they're big fans of Von Lane now because they were taking it to help power our Texas tour. So like them, you won't regret that experience. Instead, the airplane experience or the airport experience, take the Von Lane, folks. You board in minutes, no TSA, no stress. Secret to one, just 22 oversized seats that recline 140 degrees. You fire up the Wi-Fi, plug in your laptop, lean back with a cold beer and beverage, cocktail. Your attendant takes care of the rest. Von Lane is booking now through the rest of this year, so secure your spot for the holidays. Reserve at vonlane.com and use the promo code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. All right, let's dive into it, gentlemen. Get right to it. I think, is it crazy to say that Lefau leaving is the most surprising, unexpected transfer portal departure in the Sark tenure? What are your thoughts? Coach, I'll throw it to you first.
For me, beyond a doubt, I was floored when I saw that. I don't understand it. Maybe CJ, can you explain it?
Yeah, tossing it over here quick, Coach. I was just as surprised. I got a text about 45 minutes right before news broke, and I sat there and said, "Are you sure we got the same guy?" I mean, I was very surprised by it. Is it the most surprising of Sark's tenure? Yeah, I think it's in that conversation, absolutely, for a guy who played a large role. Obviously, all 3 years over the last 2 years was very impactful. Looking ahead to next year, it looked like he had a spot that was going to be his to lose, essentially. But Texas, look, we know that they're going to go all in when it comes to the portal. We knew linebacker was going to be a spot that they wanted. I originally anticipated the linebacking spot to be, hey, maybe you go out and you get a guy that can give you 15 to 20 to 30 snaps per game. Now I'm thinking with a whole linebacker after, look, no Anthony Hill, no Trey Moore, no Leon Lefau. Linebacker has to be one of the top A1 priorities for the Texas defense moving forward. And it's going to be really interesting to see how active they are when the big names become available, because right now there've been some talented entries, but I don't think there's one that you can look at and say, oh, that's the guy. Not yet. That'll come, but not yet so far. So total surprise for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I know there are a lot of theories out there about it. I mean, this is a guy that, I mean, there were 3 games. He was your leading tackler.
Yeah.
I mean, he's extremely productive. It had to be that was just not enough for Texas, not enough of an effort to keep him. I mean, that you sit in that meeting, that guy tells you I'm sure they had the end of year meetings. I'm sure the coaches know because of his agent or whatever, his stance that he's thinking about leaving. This is a guy that started games for you at a position of need because you're losing a guy like Anthony Hill. You're losing Trey Moore already to the NFL. And for them not to keep him, I'm with CJ. I do think because they're going to go aggressively all in on the portal. So maybe they'll go get someone that they believe is a better playmaker at that position, better fit. Maybe they really like the young guys. But either way, I don't think Texas made the effort to keep him. And I think that was felt by him in his circuit. Had to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, because that's a guy that started games for you.
Over 2 years.
Proven commodity for you. So for you to let him walk, I mean, like I said, maybe it was on his part. Maybe he's seeing something else. Maybe, there's something behind the scenes that we don't know. But I'm just judging from watching from the outside looking in. I mean, that guy I would have thought expected to be a returning starter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I was expecting that to be the case as well. And now, and I know that there's been some buzz about DeAndre Moore. Look, I've said that over the last 2.5 weeks or so. I haven't expected DeAndre Moore to return, whether it's to the NFL draft, whether it's to the portal. Look, those are 2 valuable pieces that Texas is basically saying, hey, whatever we have for next year, I think we're good going a different direction. And that's tough to swallow because for both guys, right? Yeah. Very key contributors, started games, had big time moments, havoc plays, touchdowns, whatever you want to call it. And now you're starting to see some of the turnover. And now, will Texas be better off without either of them? I think that's way too early to tell, right? Texas still has to get new guys on campus. The freshman class still has to arrive. We have to go through, the next 10 practices of the bowl game and then the spring ball as well. So right now, I think it's all the same. It's Texas saying, hey, we like the floor that we had, but we believe that there's a higher ceiling elsewhere. We're just basically going to have to trust the process, in my opinion.
Coach, what are your thoughts about the theory that if Texas is moving on, they believe they could find either a better fit or a better, overall better, more production there, more play.
That is hard for me to imagine.
Right.
You've got a proven commodity on your team. Pay him. Pay him. And I'm just hoping that it came down to money. And they've got a plan B that they feel really strong about. Maybe some guys they've been talking to, and we'll see as the portal signings start. But right now, I'm telling you, I'm scratching my head. I don't understand it. Lefau, DeAndre Moore, if you can go out in the portal and get better guys than that, then more power to them. But, once again, we're left to trust this staff in a situation that we don't understand. It's a head scratcher. We don't understand it. So I'm hoping we'll see, okay, that's why they let those guys get away. But right now, I'm on, count me in on the guys that are like, I don't understand it. Help me understand this.
Yeah.
I've heard, I see in the chat the theories about him just not being a scheme fit. To that, I'll say this.
I don't know about that.
Yes, I don't know. I'll just say maybe give you a theory about that. When I look at the Texas linebackers, I just look at them as a whole and trying to kind of psychoanalyze what the evaluations are and what the kind of data points are they're looking at when they evaluate linebackers. I will say they are looking for added dimensions in the passing game. They are. I mean, your job is to be a linebacker. You got to stop the run. That's your job. But they are looking for guys who added. Now, whether that's a pass rushing element, which a lot of their linebackers do, right? Have that pass rushing element. 2 of them are leaving, Anthony Hill, Trey Moore, or whether that's them being more of an asset in the passing game, like as a linebacker that can be a plus in coverage as opposed to a liability. And I think they consider Ty Anthony Smith to be that because he was the guy they would put in their NASCAR packages a lot of the times. Now, whether the stats bear that out, that's a different discussion. But I do think they're looking for that. And I will say, when I look at Lefau, I don't know if he gives you that. I think Lefau's a good player, but I don't know if he gives you I don't know if you get an added element. I don't know if you get any added value in the passing game with Lefau. Like I said, I'm not saying that is what the scheme fit issue is, not at all. But I'm saying that's something that I've noticed just as a football theorist looking at it. It's like, oh, some of these a couple of linebackers don't look like the others. And I think when they want to get a downhill linebacker, I think they want more dynamic ones, like the guys like Bo Barnes.
Yeah.
I mean, like they want a downhill linebacker. They want a more dynamic presence there. And maybe they think they can do better than Lefau, whether that's with the Young Bucks or whether that's in a transfer portal, find a better fit from what I'm talking about the added dimension.
Yeah, and that again kind of comes to with how new and kind of fresh the news is of Lefau. You sit there and say, well, another year in the system, another year of development. I mean, we're sitting at a pretty good floor. Are you sure that there's a better option available? And again, to your point, Coach, you're kind of back in that position where you have to trust the coaching staff and the people behind the scenes. So we'll see. Ultimately, I don't know where Lefau's going. The early indication is that he will not be going to Oklahoma. I'm sorry about that, Sooner Cowboy, but I do think Oklahoma is going to be in the market for one of the top linebackers out of the East Coast. I've mentioned earlier on Texas football. So we'll see. But yeah, to your point, to y'all's point, fresh news. We'll see where it goes, but ultimately a surprise nonetheless.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Like I said, to me, it was because there are some guys, like when you get a guy that started multiple games and then is a guy expected to be a starter for you the next year, it's surprising. I don't know if they've had that, or even the guys like Terrence Brooks and like Jaron Thompson, who were starters for you. There was a thought that I don't know if they're going to start the next season because they were technically overhauling some things. Maybe that for Lefau, it could have been that. That has not been from, we have not necessarily discussed it. You've been talking about a young buck taking the job, somebody who's unproven. And for Lefau, he's got skins on the wall. So we don't know how his story is going to play out. Where he goes will tell you a lot about, kind of what is going down.
Okay, so CJ, tell me and everybody listening tonight, when can you sign guys out of the portal?
Portal officially opens January 2nd. That's the first day where signatures, contracts, transfers, whatever you want to call them, however you want to describe them, can be official. Basically, those announcements can go public on the 2nd. But as we kind of, understand now, at least, back channeling is alive and well, whether it's through agents, high school coaches, family members, whoever represents the kids. I would say there's a good percentage of these transfers or portal entries that have a great understanding of where they're headed before they even enter.
Okay. And one more thing. I see the NIL rev share says rev share means more dudes get processed out by the program. I will say that it's closer and closer to the NFL model, kind of getting to what NIL rev share is talking about. And there is a emphasis on premium positions. Like there are positions that demand more money. They're considered more valuable. The discussion about why they're more valuable, we can get into that. I'm sure coaches think a lot of that is BS. But quarterbacks get paid more money, edge rushers get paid more money, wide receivers get paid more money, and cornerbacks get paid more money. I think D tackle is also right there on that verge. Those kind of freak D tackles that can play every down. To me, they're premiums too, but it's a different discussion. Then you get your non-premium positions, which are off-ball linebacker, running back, interior. I forgot about tackle, by the way. Tackle is premium. My bad. I didn't mention tackle. Sorry, O-lineman. Tackle is left tackle most predominantly. It's considered a premium position. Non-premium positions, interior O-line. I don't even know why center ain't on there, but center's like one of the lowest paid positions on the O-line. And that's like the most important positions. That's why coach would be like, this is a BS. But running back is on there. Tight end is considered non-premium. Those types of positions overall. And if you think about it, for right now, for Texas, the reason my premium theory kind of, I think, actually does hold water for Texas, they're fine in the premium positions.
They are. It's interesting.
What they're looking for.
But at what point in our program do you not consider running back a premium position for us? It has to be for us.
I agree with you, Coach. You're right. No, I'm not just. I knew you was going to get mad about that because I knew that was going to upset you. But I'm saying, but I agree because I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just saying I think that because remember, Sark talks about the NFL all the time. NFL. Look to the NFL. So there's no doubt they're looking to the NFL. And look at the roster. There's no worries really with premium positions. Quarterback,
edge,
left tackle, even your cornerback, you're okay.
Cornerback, you feel good.
You're just young, right? Wide receiver. Yeah. Well, now with Moore going out, but Sark always going to get a wide receiver out of the portal, which is CJ's theory. They should always do that because, and I would say that it's the deepest position in football. You should always get a receiver out of the portal. So I agree with CJ on that one. And, I think they've prioritized that, which they should as an organization. But if you come back to look, they may have, miscalculated on the non-premiums because that's what's hurting them right now. Interior O-line, linebacker, running back, right? They may be in trouble at tight end depending on what Jack Hendricks does, right? That's the problematic areas right now on the roster or non-premium positions. Safety is considered a non-premium position. It's just weird, strange. Just throwing it out there.
You got to say, but if this is going to happen, you're going to see turnover like this, right? I still think Texas could get up to about 20 portal entries this year. If that's the case, then, hey, you're replacing, quote unquote, those non-premium positions in which you probably don't need to spend the big dollar amounts. Or if you do want to go spend that big money amounts, now you can go get the very best while already having a strong base with, like you said, quarterback, left tackle, corners, wide receivers. You've got a very sturdy base right now going into next season.
Yeah. I know some folks want to get into, so we talked about running back a little bit before we get into some questions and other topics. Jaden Baugh. I know there's a lot of folks that want to talk about Jaden Baugh, the running back out of Florida. Is there anything that is scuttlebutt, if you will, CJ, about Jaden Baugh?
Yeah, so this is interesting, right? Because I mentioned on a couple shows over the last week or so, right? And if I'm John Summerall, the first decisions I make as the head coach at the University of Florida is I sign my quarterback and I keep my big star running back. And, well, we know that after today, DJ Lagway is not going to be the quarterback at the University of Florida. So priority number one, find a new quarterback, bring in your guy, keep whatever's on the roster, whatever it is, you got to find a quarterback. Priority number two is, hey, you got to retain your running back in that running game. You don't have a running back coach anymore. You just lost a backup running back. If you lose Jaden Baugh, you're really thin at the position. On top of that, I think they need to retain Dallas Wilson. That's the first three things that you have to do if you're John Summerall at Florida. Well, right now he's on plan A, which made us a leap after DJ Lagway left, and that's to retain Jaden Baugh. So, look, I've not heard anything that makes me think a portal, entrance is imminent. But I do know that, look, there is that relationship with Coach Drew Luke. And if, we've followed trends across college football before, sometimes when a position coach enters, a player comes with. And now we'll have to wait and see, of course, if that is the case or not. But so far, until he announces that he's entering the portal, it's kind of the just status quo of having to sit and wait on news to come out of the running back position.
Ah, man, it is it's fascinating. Like, college football is wild, Coach. I saw on social media, maybe yesterday, that there was like some contract extensions like being announced in college football. They were like, yeah, these guys have been extended. I'm like, what? Like, that's a thing? You can just say guys are being extended now? It's a wild time, no doubt about it. Okay, let's get to, because we haven't talked DeAndre Moore, like breaking it down yet. I mean, it's, to me, I think Texas should go after a wide receiver in the portal, and I think now this is gonna confirm they'll go after a wide receiver in the portal. I think that CJ has talked about it too, about how Sark has had really good success with him. I think this is not a good thing for Texas, but at least I think Texas has the opportunity to bring Bobby's talked about this. You just want an explosive game breaker. Can you do that? And now you have room to do that financially and roster wise.
Yeah.
And incentive. So it's maybe that's the, that bright side of things, losing DeAndre Moore. Because I do think I think the wide receivers got better toward the end of the year, no doubt about that. But Ryan Wingo's your game breaker at wide receiver, right?
Yeah. And hold on, Rod, real quick. Coach, I want to get your thoughts on this because I had this conversation on OTF earlier today. I talked about what I'm looking for in this week of portal entries. And, elsewhere I mentioned some linebackers. I mentioned, obviously, all the quarterbacks across the country that, are considering entering the portal. Today was a very busy day for quarterbacks, obviously. But in that, I said, hey, at wide receiver, I consider it a luxury. I don't consider it a priority the way that I would the interior offensive line or running back, now a linebacker. I consider that wide receiver spot a luxury rather than priority. And some folks are saying, wait a minute, no. We don't have that game-changing guy. And to that, I perhaps maybe agree, but I think you have a talented room that would allow you to get by, right? You probably wouldn't blow out teams. You probably have, some frustrations with drops or whatever, but Coach, based off of what we've seen in 2025 and what we expect to return in 2026, is this a room that you see you absolutely need a game-breaking guy in, or can you kind of get along with what you think, this room already entails?
Yeah, I think you have to have a game breaker because, we all had a lot of hope for these 5-star receivers that we signed. Excuse me. But we didn't let him play. We didn't get him game experience. So that's what I don't understand about it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair frustration too. And Rod, I know that we've talked about it for a couple of years now. It's very difficult to earn your trust in the circle of trust in that wide receiving room. And we've seen wide receivers previously not be able to do it. So I guess the question then becomes for those guys, do they stay patient enough to then earn their spot before? I don't know, because you don't get the luxury of a second portal window to wait it out, see how your guys develop, and then address the needs. You have to do it immediately in January.
Yeah, and I see people saying that Sark should go big game hunting at wide receiver. I'm not so sure about that, and the reason is because that kind of goes against, what CJ and I have discussed about wide receivers, that you can get really good value there. Like Matthew Golden, when you brought him in, I don't know what you spent on Matthew Golden like that. I know he was third in receiving at U of H.
Yeah. He definitely wasn't the highest paid in that receiver class for Texas.
You know what I mean? Exactly, right? And then, so I know Isaiah Bond, I know because of his speed or something, so it might be different. A.D. Mitchell. I don't know exactly how highly rated those guys were through the portal.
Yeah.
I know they had some production at their previous locations at Georgia and at Bama, but I think Sark has done a good job getting value, not necessarily the big game honey at wide receiver, because his system is really it's wide receiver friendly. It will find it may start finding. Sark even says it. This is a quote from Sark. My offense is that the ball just finds some wide receivers, and other guys I got to scheme them open. He said that. Mm-hmm. And I think we see that too. Sometimes you're like, damn, who knew Parker Livingston was going to be the guy early on? They didn't plan on that, but they just found Parker Livingston early on. It's like, yep, found him. I think him and roommates with Arch helps, but it is different. And that who knew that Matthew Golden? Remember early on, it was Isaiah Bond they were trying to get the ball to.
Yeah, all the time.
Right, and then the ball started just finding Matthew Golden, started finding him more and more. It's like, you know what? It's just Matthew Golden's the guy in this offense.
And that's what I wonder, Rod, moving forward. Sorry to cut you off, but does that pivot at all to Emmett Mosley? Right, because when the ball just found him at the back half of last year, he was great. And I know we sat here and we said, get him more targets, find the way to get the ball in his hands, because you didn't have the frustrations, you didn't have the slips or the drops or whatever else, the poor route running. No, it felt like every ball that went his way was received, or if it wasn't, it was because he was getting tackled in the end zone. So I'm with you. The other thing is, and I wanted to ask you this about specifically, but if you do go big game hunting at the wide receiver spot, how targeted do you have to be to find a slot versus, hey, you got a 6'2", Ryan Wingo, you got a 6'3" Emmett Mosley, you got a 6'4" Parker Livingston. Can you just keep getting along with these big trees out there running routes, or, you got to find. I mean, Jermaine Bishop has to figure in just off of skill set alone, right?
Yeah, that guy, coach. Honestly, this news, that's the guy that's probably high stepping right now with this news. Because remember, we talked about Brandon Harris and who he was gushing about when I spoke to him on Longhorn Network with the Third Longhorn crew, and that's the guy they couldn't talk enough about, who was going to contribute early, that we should watch early. How you would know how quickly can a freshman? We saw with Xavier Worthy, but he was special, obviously. This young man is special, Jermaine Bishop too. You think he could fit into that slot role early on and contribute for Texas?
Yeah, I think he can, but I like proven commodities. And we saw that this last year with the 5-star receivers we signed. What happened to those guys? That never really got a shot, or they were disappointing in practice or whatever. I don't know what it was, but I really thought we'd see more production from true freshman wide receivers. I think, excuse me, I think the wide receiver position is one that a freshman can come in and play. There's no doubt. We've seen that before, and I think we'll continue to see that. But we didn't see it this last year. We didn't see a freshman really separate himself from everybody else. And those are 5-star guys. So I'm a little bit skeptical about them putting all their eggs in one basket with a high school receiver when we had guys last year that we thought this past season would play as true freshmen more than they did, but they didn't.
Right.
So
no, you're right. Yeah, coach. No, you're right.
To add to that, I mean, we've talked about Texas being uber aggressive this year. You cannot leave anything for chance or hope that development goes the way. So you have to address it, right? And you have to put yourself in the best position if you're trying to, stay true to what we think they're going to do, is put the best possible team around Arch Manning and Colin Simmons on either side of the football to go win a championship. Yeah.
And to that point, I've talked about the circle of trust, to add to Coach's point, to piggyback on it, and just hard for a true freshman at times to penetrate that circle of trust. They every now and then they've got Ryan Wingo. They've sort of gotten in it. I think Xavier Worthy, obviously, but he had no choice but to lean on Xavier Worthy as a freshman, and he hadn't really done it since. He sprinkled them in to that circle of trust. So Coach is right about that. He asks a lot from his wide receivers. Sometimes it's too much for freshmen. Okay, we'll get to the super chats here in a second. Let's thank our couple of sponsors before we move on. And answer some of your questions. Thank our friends over at Hargrove Roofing first. We appreciate them. Courtesy of Hargrove Roofing, my friends. Usually our man Stevie Lee joins us on Monday, but he couldn't do it this Monday. But we appreciate Hargrove Roofing for all of their support of On Texas football. You can reach out to them today at hardgroveroofing.com or give them a call at 512-645-3202. They're offering a free roof inspection today, and they have offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, but they are the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. They are fine folks, and they will do right by you. So reach out to them today. Leave it to the professionals at Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof with our friends at Hargrove Roofing. Also, let's thank our friends over at South Point Dodge before we move on as well. We appreciate our friends at South Point Dodge, and you will too. South Point Dodge folks, these days, they are right now offering a deal of a lifetime, especially to our friends over at On Texas Football. But reach out to our friends over at South Point Dodge. Got over 600 vehicles in stock right now, and you won't find a better deal than the deal over at South Point Dodge. Right now, for our friends over at South Point Dodge, you can go see them. They're offering great deals on cars, trucks, trade-ins, something new, something used. Reach out to them today at southpointdodge.com. You can go see them on 535 in South Austin, or just go online, make it easy on yourself, and go online at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. All right, let's get to the super chats here. We got a couple of them. How about this one from Michael up first? Michael Williams says, with more leaving, are Lockett and French ready? Are we done with departures? Kind of what Coach was getting into. Or Lockett and French ready to go? What about the thoughts on it, CJ? Do we see those guys benefit from now these extra snaps, extra reps in bowl practices, extra opportunities? Would those guys stand to benefit, maybe be able to crack that circle of trust a little bit?
Yeah, in theory, that sounds fantastic, right? and that's where, the hope is. But look, reality is still the same. They're not currently, or at least not consistently, they're not receiving consistent targets from QB1 on the starting offense, right? Because you're returning all three of those receivers, Livingston, Mosley, and Wingo. On top of that, we know where Dalen McCutcheon falls into the picture as well. So, it's a crowded room. It's a talented room. But again, you're starting to look at what this room looks like and how do you get on the field versus what we know this room to go target in the portal as well, and sitting there saying, okay, well, if they don't make that leap, is there a path to the field in 2026? And that's where the question is. So this year has to be this, again, until December 31st, so the next 2 weeks, and then all of spring. It has to be huge for Lockett and French. And as I've mentioned in the past, Michael Terry's still getting reps at the running back position as well. Texas, to me, it seems like they're trying to find any and every way possible to get the ball in his hands in whatever capacity, whether it's the running game. He's also getting reps in the return game as well. We'll see if he ever moves back officially full-time to the receiver room. But that five-star, freshman group right now, they got their work cut out for them moving forward.
Yeah, and we are not done with departures.
No.
No. Unfortunately, that's everybody around the country right away. Everybody's dealing with that kind of attrition. All right, thank you for the super chat, Michael. We appreciate it. Locked in Horns, thank you as well for the super chat. He says, does UT have a cap, or do they have a limited NIL? Are other teams dealing with the same? Doesn't feel like a title contender at this point. I don't know if anybody. I mean, there's a limit, but Texas has substantial NIL resources, and I don't know if there are more than 3 or 4 schools in the country that could have access to the NIL resources Texas does. I'll just say that. Now, whether they want to maximize that and use it, that's a different conversation. But I don't. NIL should not be an issue for Texas.
No, it won't be.
Yeah.
No, the cap that they talk about is the NIL rev share.
The rev share cap. Yeah.
What is it, 20.5 million or 22.5 million or something like that, and then most schools kind of divvy up to about 75% of that end up going to football. So you get around 15 or 16 million. And that's kind of your cap that you get to play with. We hear, coaches talk about it all the time. Now, that's not your entire pool to distribute NIL resources out to for your roster. And so when you start seeing the figures of a $30 or $40 million roster, well, not all of that obviously is coming from the rev share. That has to then come from clearing deals through the NIL clearinghouse, going the extra route, getting it obviously just like, the old days of NIL, if you will. But roster prices they're going to remain very high.
Ain't no doubt about that. And I think, with the current model being what it is, I mean, the money's just going to continue to grow. And there's no, right now, there's not enough guardrails on. The rev share is probably as close as we came to guardrails with this thing. But that's not still really any true guardrails. I mean, you can go like Cody Campbell, like in Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to. Now, a lot of teams don't have somebody that dedicated to it, but if you got a sugar daddy, you can play. You can go. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that super chat, Lock in Horns. We appreciate it. Okay, let's before we get back to some more questions, I got a couple of topics I want to bring up with you guys. Things that broke earlier today that we have not discussed yet. The Associated Press came out with their All-American teams earlier today. 2 Longhorns were honored on the Associated Press All-American teams. Anthony Hill was named second team All-American, and Michael Taft, shout out to Michael Taft, named third team All-American by the Associated Press. No Colin Simmons on this list at all. Even prior to this Associated Press All-American team being released, CJ, Jeff Howe, and I did a video actually talking about Colin Simmons, and it was mostly about him being snubbed by the SEC for Defensive Player of the Year and some other teams and postseason accolades that I thought he had gotten snubbed for, and I did not see this coming. I thought he'd have been honored by the Associated Press on one of those All-American teams. He was not. The edges were Cassius Howell and David Bailey, Reuben Bain from Miami, and John Henry Daly out of Utah, Caden Curry from Ohio State, Nadam Tucker from, I believe he's out of Western Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, those were your edges. No Colin Simmons. Now, it could be because he was an underclassman, but I believe that, he's a sophomore. There's another sophomore on there. I believe the kid out of Utah was a sophomore. But Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, but I think he had 2 years on a mission, went to BYU for a year, left BYU, then came there. So he might end up being 22 or something like that. But no Colin Simmons, guys, on that list. Shout out to Michael Taft. Congrats to him and congrats to Anthony Hill. But, Coach, what are your thoughts about Colin Simmons not being honored on the Associated Press All-American list?
Yeah, it's I don't understand it. I don't understand how we didn't get a guy on punt return, kick return, even though, he got snubbed as well in SEC honors, in my opinion. Right. But, yeah, I don't know. And, is it just me? I really thought Michael Taft would play it in the bowl game no matter what. He just seemed like he bled orange so much that, that he would play in the All-Star game because he's all about Texas. That's all he's ever wanted to do is play for Texas. And it's selfish for me, to be disappointed because it's a financial decision, I'm sure, not wanting to get hurt. But I would have to think that the way he represented the University of Texas, the way he was, his story coming from walk-on to being an All-American, that, had he finished out his career at Texas, I would think that the earning potential of him just as an individual outside of football would overcome that, because he is an icon. He is the All-American story at Texas, or at any university. But the fact that he grew up in Austin, grew up wanting to be a Longhorn no matter what, he gave everything he could to the program. I understand that, except for a bowl game. And I just thought, no, Michael Taft he won't opt out of the bowl game because he's all about UT, and it, people have a short memory. They'll forget about that, I'm sure. But, if Michael Taft went into, insurance or real estate or investments or whatever, whatever guys do that come out that are legacies, like not a legacy, but like, Michael Taft is Texas football. He is the ultimate success story that you like to see. An Austin boy, grew up right here, walked on. Texas gave him that opportunity, honored him with a scholarship. He came through with his part. I just really thought he'd be a bowl game. And I'm sorry, I understand it's a financial decision for all these guys. Why shouldn't it be for him? Yeah, it should be for him too. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I held him to a different standard, and shame me for doing that.
No, it's interesting, Coach. Listen, I think it's ultimately just the end of the era where those bowl games matter. Like, they don't matter anymore. And, I just think for these players, once it's not a playoff game, I remember when it used to be controversial for guys to opt out. I just think now these games for them, it's a non-starter if they're moving. I mean, guys are skipping bowl games now. Guys, I'm telling you, there's guys who are not even gonna get drafted. Who were like, I ain't playing the bowl. Like, you ain't gonna get drafted. You should play in that damn game. This is your opportunity to play in the last damn game you ever played. What are you doing? Of course, but that's what they're being advised by their agents. That's another thing too, Coach. Agents.
Yeah.
Agents. I think.
Well, yeah.
I think a lot of these guys, they'd play if it was just them making the decision on their own. They got agents who are saying, no, that's not worth it. There's way more for you to lose in the game by playing in that bowl game, whether it be draft stock, whether it be getting hurt, whether it be whatever it is. You need to start your training for your NFL career right now, the sooner the better. So I think the big part of it, Coach, is ages. And I'm not saying that you're wrong. I just think it's the end of that kind of era. Like those guys don't even that bowl game doesn't even register to them anymore.
Well, how does Michael Taft though? How does he translate into the NFL? You know, is he going to be? You know, where would you project him being drafted?
I think he's a day 3 guy.
Yeah,
I do too. I do too. A day 3 guy. So play in the freaking bowl game, secure your legacy. I'm not like all these other guys seeking the money. I love the University of Texas. You know, freaking come back and be the head coach one day or whatever. You know, you see a guy like that doing, but I don't see. And hey, he proved a lot of people wrong in college.
Yeah, he did.
So you know, I don't see him projecting into an all-pro, you know, NFL safety. And hey, I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he does. But I'm not so sure that securing your legacy at the University of Texas in the long run wouldn't mean more.
To talk about his legacy, though, Coach, I mean, his final big play is an interception against Marcel Reed and an undefeated A&M. That's a fun way to go out, but I'm with you. You know, it would be fun for him to suit up and go and play one more final game. I think we'd all agree on that. I do know that, you know, that hand injury that he was dealing with toward the back end is one of those things that they're looking to protect. And look, if this game isn't one where he needs to take an extra hit to save it for the NFL, I think that's where they're leaning right now. But I would have loved to have seen kind of a Sam Ehlinger departure, right? You go out the bowl game, you play a series or two, maybe the first quarter, and then you get your send-off. And that to me is cool. That's fun. So I think, you know, ultimately in today's day and age, this is just what the you know, how bowl games are going to be treated. If you're in the picture to be drafted, you're done, which is a shame. But I'd like to have seen at least a little bit, you know.
They're almost like spring football games now. Like actually, spring football games, like just some guys don't play. They're just too valuable. The starters don't play. Feel like guys can do that now. You can just you can just go be on the sideline for your team. I'm sure Stafford will be there on the sideline. Maybe not. I don't know.
I don't think it should be. If you opt out of the bowl game, you don't make the trip. You don't get to be included in the bowl game activities.
He's had the guys out there, right? He's had some of the players opt out on the sideline, right? Am I not mistaken? Did I imagine?
I think more
they should. They should. Why would you allow them to do that?
I thought.
I mean, maybe they do. Maybe they just show up the day of the game and come out on the sidelines, but. No, you don't get to go on the bowl trip. You don't get to be included in all the bowl game activities. You know, like the guys who stayed.
Maybe they don't do that. Yeah, maybe they're not there the whole time. I'm just saying that maybe they do.
Don't get the swag and the gear.
No, I mean, but you got to understand, Michael Taft family, whoever's listening, I'm old school. Okay, yeah. I admit it, right or wrong, good or bad. I'm old school, man. This university gave you an opportunity, and you obviously they didn't give it to you. You earned it, but golly, no, don't be at the bowl. I mean, go to the bowl game, but you know, you don't travel with the team. You don't do all that stuff because you opted out.
Yeah,
that's old school Bobo theory. You know, so I'm sorry, I'm old. I believe in loyalty. I believe in all that stuff. If you have a chance to be a first day draft pick, maybe even a second day draft pick, but not a third day draft pick, man. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry. I hope I don't offend anybody. If I did, just that's some old man talking. Whatever.
No. I don't think you offend anybody. That's what this is about, having your opinion. I don't think there's any right or wrong way to look at it. It's just now I think the young guys, they look at that almost like a spring scrimmage. It doesn't even register to them that it's Michigan, the bowl game, all the stuff you brought up, all the great points, Coach, you brought up. It doesn't even register to them at all. And like I said, I can't blame them either, because we love the bowl game because we got free swag and gifts, and we needed it because we was broke. But these kids now they have money.
Yeah, good
they got
point.
resources. Like, who the hell wants your little keep your little bowl gift? I don't care about that, man. Like these, so I totally get it. I get it. It's a new state of mind for these young guys. You know what I mean?
Those free bowl
It's a new
dinners,
state
man.
of mind, but
Exactly.
it ain't this old man's state of mind. I promise you that.
Yeah, but see this right? Need the free bowl dinners.
The free bowl meals, right? You can take extra plates with you, right? Now they'll just DoorDash whatever they want.
Dude, we used to because if the bowl game was far away, like this in San Diego, whatever the Culligan Holiday Bowl, we could not wait to try to hustle and try to find some way to get, because they would reimburse you whatever the ticket price was for the trip. So we try to get the highest price ticket price, like, oh, it's gonna cost us $3,000 to get out there apparently, and then try to hustle our way out to the
ride in the back of your mom's station wagon out there.
Yeah, like whatever we can do. Ride a bus. Exactly. Ride a bus somewhere and then take a plane halfway, whatever it was, right? Just so we could pocket $1,500 or whatever it was. So our mindset was so different than these guys. I get it. Like, I totally get it. I get it. They don't care about that stuff, and why should they? But coach is right. It's but I would say this: Taft, he's already a legend. I was already looking at my DBU rankings and trying to figure out where Taft gonna be ranked in my DBU rankings. So he's definitely gonna be there.
Two-time All-American, man. That's special stuff.
That's no doubt. Hey, Morgan said my mom worked for Delta, so I flew free, pocketed all the money. That's right. There you go.
Didn't even need to. I guess it was a different time there, but hey, you didn't need to pay for all the in-flight Wi-Fi either, man.
Yes.
These guys are making millions. You're talking about in-flight Wi-Fi.
Exactly. Them guys don't care about bold gifts and that kind of stuff. All right. Let's get back to a couple of questions before we get to the end of the live stream here, guys. How about this one? How about it from Millwright says, so was there not a spot available for Lefau because the young guys were passing him by the end of the year? Just surprising to me. Texas would push him out, especially with the roster max going to 105. I don't know if they pushed him out. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if obviously they didn't do everything within their power to keep him. But like I said, I don't know if they pushed him out either. Like, I'm not saying they pushed him out.
I think the conversation that was had was more, hey, this is what we're looking at in the portal. This is what we're bringing in. We don't have a guaranteed spot for you. If you want to have, that luxury of having a fourth-year guaranteed spot, I don't know if it's going to be here. I think that's what a lot of the conversation was. Push out. I'm not here to dispute that because, again, I think a fourth-year senior linebacker would have been something that they were expected to pay a heavy price for. Those are just, guys that play a lot in your program that are very valuable. You take care of those guys. Now, does Texas feel like they might have a higher ceiling elsewhere? Again, I don't know right now. So the thing, and we've talked about this with the 105 scholarship numbers, I still think you're going to have your 85 base, and then those extra 86 to 105 are basically going to be your walk-ons, right? They're on scholarship, right? So they're not walk-ons, but they're not getting NIL money, right? They're not making anything more than what their scholarship provides, because how can you afford 105 legitimate, worthy D1 scholarship players that need NIL to stay at school? You just can't do it. So I think that's what you're going to continue to see is a lot of those NIL guys, a lot of those walk-ons start to move over to scholarship players just without the NIL bonuses that come with.
Okay, so with 105 scholarships, why would they not up the NIL ceiling? Because you've got so many more guys on the team, you have to raise the ceiling for NIL, or what good does it do you to bring 105? But still, I say, let me tell you, I was in charge of the walk-on program. I have so much respect for those guys because they go through heck. Those are the true orange bloods in my mind. But you've got to do what's best for the roster. So go out and give a D2 guy or FCS guy a chance to come. You don't have to give him necessarily NIL money, but give him a chance to come and make a name for himself at the University of Texas at an FBS school and try to at least increase your talent level of guys that are running and cover punts or covering kicks or kicking or punting or deep snapping or holding or whatever. You have to maximize your roster with the best talent you can. And I promise you, there's D2 guys that would give anything to have a chance to be on the roster at UT. They don't need NIL money. They just, they've paid their dues at D2 schools where some of them have to bring their own off-season workout clothes or whatever, not to downplay, the walk-ons, because those guys are critical to the team. Without walk-ons, we wouldn't have Michael Taft. They're valuable guys. And some of those guys rarely, but it's been proven that some of those guys can freaking play once they're given the opportunity. But I say you maximize your roster with the best talent you can with 105.
Look, I think that's absolutely what the goal is. But at the same time, if Texas has to pay, 25 stars plus the portal to attract the big name guys, I think you're looking at players that would have, warrant $100,000 or whatever from TCU in that same pool of money that Texas would have would probably get about $70,000. Now, do you want that? That's where the trade-off comes. Do you want to take the pay cut to come to Texas and prove that you can play in the SEC in front of 100,000 every weekend on ABC and ESPN? Or do you take the financial incentive to go to, it's
one question.
Take the money.
Where did the Ole Miss quarterback come from? What division ball did he play?
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just seeing it from the kids' perspectives. Sometimes the money's greener.
You gotta take the money these days. You gotta take if somebody's gonna just offer you, scholarship, old school scholarship, room and board, and if somebody's gonna offer you an NIL deal with that scholarship as well, you gotta take the NIL deal.
How many Division II guys are getting NIL money? That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. They're not. They just want a chance to be on an FBS roster and make a name for themselves. In my opinion.
And I agree. Look,
I'll shut up.
No, he's right. If you're talking about how you build a roster this day and age, and even Sark brought it up, you're just like the NFL. You're gonna have high dollar guys, we have mid tier guys, and you need to have a lot of guys on your roster, depending on how much you're paying them. I don't know, those elite guys on your roster. You need to have some guys that are giving you more value, more bang for your buck. Everybody can't make top dollars on your roster,
and that's where these guys come in, Coach. I totally agree.
But here's the deal with walk-ons at UT. You're not necessarily getting a spot as a walk-on at UT because you are a great player or a good player. It's because you have to get in academically on your own to UT. And so as you try to get walk-ons to come in, you've got to find guys that are academically that can get in Texas on their own. You give them a scholarship, that academic stuff is waived. All you have to do is reach the NCAA minimum academic standard. So I think you can upgrade your roster even though it doesn't cost much NIL money. Now I'm going to shut up about it.
No, but I think it's a good conversation. I probably am wording it wrong, calling that 86 to 105 scholarship level being walk-ons, right? That's not the point. Those guys will be on scholarship, but those guys, those 20 will make up a lot of your scout team, the guys that do the dirty work, right? And so, yeah, of course, it'd be great to get all these 105 talented guys. But looking elsewhere, there are going to be players on Texas that enter the portal who would be Texas caliber players, but someone who probably is coming off of a 5-7 season, who has extra revenue money to spend, is going to look at him and say, we'll double it because we need someone of your caliber. You may play 20 snaps a game next year at Texas, but we'll give you 60 and extra money. And how do you say no?
How do you balance also what veterans make? Because in the NFL, right, veterans make more, right? They try to, obviously if you're a first round pick in the NFL, but as you play in the league longer, you get a veteran minimum, which goes up and up. The veterans on your team, do you pay them more just because they're retained? Do they get bumped automatically? Or are you bumping these guys down? You know what I mean? And keeping them. I guess what I wonder too is there, because you have a lot of young guys coming in making a lot of more money than the vets who are there. Well, Yeah, of course you're gonna vet people like, man, I'm out of here. I'm not being appreciated. I'm going. And I wonder how you balance that.
If you're going to get bumped down, you're probably going to be in the portal.
Yep. That happens often. And Rod, to your point, I think that's where Texas has been so good at finding value at key positions lately, right? You mentioned Matthew Golden earlier. He was not a guy that was going to come in immediately and make more than, some of the guys on the roster.
Yeah.
Right. Emmett Mosley, very much the same, where the late addition out of Stanford, you're sitting there saying, we know this kid is talented. He just produced 500 yards, second most freshman receiving yards at Stanford ever. We know he's good, but he doesn't have a big market whenever it comes to other schools needing him. So the way that they've been able to kind of not trick the market, but find the most value out of the market, I think has been a very hidden trait for them. So I'm excited to see where they go now. But on top of that, I know that, boy, oh boy, might they just say, screw it. Whoever the biggest, the baddest, the most expensive is, we're in. Because we have an Arch Manning, we have a Colin Simmons, and we got 1 year of both of them both on campus. We got to make the most of it.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Could go all in with those guys. All right, good discussion, guys. Getting into the super chats here. Rocky Poor says, breaking news.
Wait, you better read this one before you say it.
Breaking news: Longhorn ACL has forced Raiola to have season-ending ACL surgery. Well done.
That's foul, Rocky P.
Yeah, it is foul. But I get it. I'm sure a lot of fans out there get it. If you don't, you got to just one Google search and you'll figure out what they're talking about there. Thank you very much, Rocky Poor. We appreciate it. Kozer7 says, get a couple of Mount Union studs for special teams. Hey, maybe coach is right.
That's my point.
Those guys coming up are hungry though. That's what you get. Them hungry dogs. You do. You get them hungry dogs, man. There's something about them. Coach Russell says, "Who's the first school to up their NIL budget to pay even more to maximize that 105 budget for the 105 scholarship limit?" Thank you, Kozer, for the super chat. That's a great question.
You can't up your NIL budget.
Your revenue share is obviously capped, but I guess you can increase NIL support somehow. I mean,
is the NIL not capped?
Not yet. It will be.
Well,
one
let's
day.
go. What are we waiting on? Oh my God! What are we waiting on? Hey, if we all gave $100 a month for 12 months a year, we got 1 million people doing that. It's on, baby.
I
love it. I was like, what the hell are we waiting on?
I got $100 a month. Let's do it. 1 million more. We're Texas Tech.
I love it. I ain't gonna lie, Coach just simplified it. Wait, what y'all waiting on then? Let's go. No cap. But that's what Cody Campbell's doing. That's what he's like. Ain't no cap on this, baby. We going. We full steam ahead. All right, good stuff there. All right, let's.
Hey, no, you got to produce on the. You got to produce on the field if you're gonna get a ranch.
Hey, that's what y'all need to do. Them youngsters who getting their NIL money, y'all need to go check out ShipleyRanches.com, baby. Invest in some property.
No, y'all need to buy some Shipley Ranches so we can start funding some NIL stuff. That's how it works.
Oh, I like that. Now that's what I'm talking about right there. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's thank another sponsor before we move on. Can we thank our friends over at South Point Dodge just one more time? We appreciate our fans over at South Point Dodge, and you will as well, folks. South Point Dodge is Austin's Ram headquarters. That's right. And right now with our friends at South Point Dodge, they're having their December wrap up the year sales event. The deals are hotter than ever. So huge savings on Ram trucks, on Jeep SUVs, plus exclusive perks for on Texas football listeners. 90 days to make your first payment. And right now they'll ship that fantastic ride to you no matter where you are in the great state of Texas or anywhere in this country. You won't find a better deal than that. Over 600 vehicles in stock right now. So whether you need a workhorse or you need a weekend warrior, my friends over at South Point Dodge have got you covered. Visit southpointdodge.com. Go see them off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go online at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. Let's also thank our friends over at Von Lane before we move on to answer a few more questions. Thank you to our friends at Von Lane. We appreciate them supporting On Texas football. If you need to get around this holiday season, the best way to do it is with our friends over at Von Lane. Forget about the airport stress and forget about the stress of driving yourself, right? The road rage, and you got to deal with traffic. And when you get there, you're all worn out. You either got fatigue from driving or that you got airport fatigue from the general stress levels of dealing with any airport. Our friends over at Von Lane offer you the most luxurious travel experience on the road today. No TSA, no stress, and you sink into one of just 22 oversized seats that recline 140 degrees. Fire up the Wi-Fi, plug in your laptop, lean back with a cold beer or cocktail, and just enjoy the ride. Your attendant will take care of you. Von Lane is right now open booking through the rest of the year, so you can secure your seat for the holiday experience. Reserve your spot at vonlane.com. Use the promo code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. Thank you very much to our friends over at Von Lane. All right, let's answer a couple more questions before we end things. Phil says, if we really fortify the interior offensive line, doesn't running back become a less premium position? What are your thoughts, Coach?
We got to have a stud running back. It's a premium for us. I don't care what anybody else says. We got to spend the money on a bona fide starter, every down running back, in my opinion.
I'm with Coach. You got to. And look, I think Texas has done a fine job of trying to do whatever they can with what they're working with, but you get yourself an absolute unit in the backfield. Like, that changes a lot also in the passing game. So I think that helps, but you absolutely need to shore up that interior as well.
But until you can get a premium running back, you have to fortify that LOL, that offensive line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to. Or you're not going to get a premium running back if you don't fortify the OL.
I agree with that. All right. Thank you for that. Real quick, before we end things, let's wrap up the top stories, obviously, that started out this live stream. The big news of the day, Lefau is hitting the transfer portal. We have discussed it, who's been a multi-year starter for you, actually, at Texas. Hitting the transfer portal, now adding to the list. Thank you very much there, Matthew. Those are your expected portal departures. And looks like Lefau to me, I would say, and maybe this is the new age of it, guys. They're getting more and more impactful departures, guys who, right? Remember the departures, Sarkisian were doing a really good job of the attrition being positive attrition. And I still think there's a lot of positive attrition on here. These are not guys, this is you churning out the bottom of your roster. But recently, you're starting to get some departures that I think were more impactful players and that hurt a little bit more. And none of them hurt. I mean, Lefau is obviously the most recent and the most notable example of one that one hurt, unexpected, and that one's gonna hurt you. And Sarkisian did a really good job of departures, not hurting the roster. This one hurt. I will admit that this one hurt.
Yeah, definitely hurt. Definitely surprising. I think Lefau has the most games and starts of anybody in the portal, probably combined of everybody on the portal so far in this class.
Yeah.
So that's significant. But to your point, look, Texas was a young team this year. If you're not headed to the draft and you're headed to the portal, well, that likely means that, you played somewhere. You played in some capacity. But, I think Texas is going to be in pretty good shape moving on to 2026.
Yeah, most of those guys only have practice film to send to schools for NIL, for transfer portal stuff.
Yeah.
Although I think Derek Williams that's a big hit too in my mind.
I agree with you, Coach. That's why I feel like it's a trending. I feel like they're trending where they're more, right? They hurt a little bit more. And CJ Baxter, he was dealing with the injury, but the Derek Williams, the Lefau ones. And also what was discussed earlier today, and shout out because it has now been tweeted out that sources have told on Texas Football that DeAndre Moore is expected to declare for the NFL draft. So, and CJ's been talking about that for a couple of weeks now. I bet that's been your theory that he was going to be moving on one way or the other. Yeah. This is the other. He's heading to the NFL draft. Trying to miss. You don't want to be in next year's wide receiver draft. So this is the year. This is the draft you want to be in for wide receiver. You don't want to be that one.
That's a great point.
I'm sure his agent was like, "Nah, bro, you don't want to be in that one. You best just try this wide receiver draft. It'll maximize your value next year. That one's going to be that's one of the best drafts in NFL history. They're saying they're piping that one up. That 27 draft. It's going to be crazy." But there you go. Those are the two big stories for the Longhorns today. And thank you guys for all your participation. Thank you guys for the super chats as well. If we missed any of your questions or any of your comments, we apologize. One more from my man CB here. Says, "Hey CJ, 1 year ago today, I made the hat throwing gift from your show." There you go. What were you upset about now? I forget what you were upset about edition. What was
it? Was we got another super chat, which I'm very thankful for. Don't get me wrong, fellas. But it was like a third or fourth in one stream about Quinn portaling, and I was like, enough.
That's right. It was. I remember that. I remember it now, and that's why it is such an iconic hat throwing gift because
thank you, CB.
It applies now to a lot of different situations. Thank you, CB, for reminding us of that. And thank all you guys out there for participating and all the questions. If we missed any of them, please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Bobby Bird and Jerry Hamilton will be there bright and early at 8:15. And also, CJ, I hate super chats. Also, Tuesday, you have the nighttime live stream, the primetime one with CJ himself, as well as Amanda Atwell and my man Jeff Howe. Will be taking care of you there at 7:15 p.m. For CJ and for Coach and for Matthew behind the scenes. By the way, Matthew is a real MVP. I don't think I gave him enough props. We appreciate Matthew and all of his hard work. For Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em. Stay hard, Matthew.